Hey everyone, I'm Airwingmarine. Welcome back to the channel and my next Escape from Tarkov video. Today we're going to talk about barters that you should look at with level 1 traders basically at the start of the wipe. Things that are going to help you make more out of this loot you get out of raid than just what it is at face value, especially before you're level 10 and have the flea market. So let's get right into it. Alright, so this video is going to focus entirely on just barters. So we'll go through them as quick as I can. I'm going to cover the ones that you should be paying attention to and ones you may be missing and not realizing they're there. So let's get into Prapor first, sort by barters, and talk about these right out the gate. The first one, the most important one that I want to bring up to people is the BT barter. This is insanely important to people, especially running AKs. BT is really good ammo. And while it can be easy to find in raid, using these cans of Tashunka gives you another opportunity to get another 30 rounds, especially right away. First thing, when you start out, you have 2 of these cans, so you can get 30 rounds of BT. And what I'll do is I'll just top stack my mags for my AKs and put BT in there. And then you go out on your first raid with ammo that can get through level 4 armor. And even if you're good at shooting, get through level 5 pretty quickly. Now, second to this is the BP. Since you can't buy these ammos, you should be watching for Klins as well, because one Klin's going to get you 30 rounds of BP, which isn't as good as BT, but will still do a pretty good number on level 3 armor. Next up is the Mosin. This Mosin right here, if you can get this Mosin before you're level 10, like if you just get lucky and find a bunch of batteries and barter for this Mosin, and you're shooting LPSGZH, you're going to be slaughtering people. This is going to hit hard. It does really, really good damage, and you're going to be one of the few people on the map that has a true long-range scope on a weapon. So, and it also helps with picking scavs off as well, not having to get close and worry about getting shot by those guys. Next up is the PP19, and you will get to where you can buy this pretty quickly, but 4 T-plugs is a pretty small price to pay for a pretty decent 9mm. This is one of my favorite budget guns in the game, especially early wipe. It's really great at face tapping, and when people are just running packers and stuff, even PSTGZH will do pretty good with a PP19. It's easy to control, pretty few parts you can put on there, and run it really effectively in raid. So great little barter. It's in there. The AKM, it's an okay barter. You do have to use these in tasks, these Tashunkas, but if you get them out of raid, non-found in raid for some reason, this is one of the best places to use it and get yourself a fully automatic 7.62 gun. And now that it doesn't have a dovetail, unfortunately, but you are able to put a Bastion from Skier on it and put a sight, and you can buy 30 round mags from Prapor at level 1, as well as PS ammo, which is one of the more powerful ammos you can get, especially at full auto early wipe before you even have the flea market available to you. And then the last 2 I'm going to talk about is obviously the armor. This is for a propane tank. So this is a level 3 steel armor, which isn't the greatest, but it has pretty good movement speed. It covers your chest and your stomach, and it's repairable. At 60 armor points and steel, it's going to repair pretty well. So if you get it back from raid, it's going to be better than running a P.A.K.A. and gives you something to do with those propane tanks, which for the first week, sometimes 2 weeks of wipe, really aren't worth all that much. So say 30, 40K, maybe 50, you're getting yourself a level 3 armor. And then lastly is grenades. These light bulbs are pretty handy. Grenades are pretty sparse early on in the wipe because they're not really readily available. You can't just go buy them. You got to get them off of whatever. But if you're picking up your energy saving lamps, 2 of them gets you a grenade. And that pretty much wraps up Prapor. Therapist, she has a couple of good barters, obviously centered around meds that you want to pay attention to. Hemostats. So screws, bags of screws, these things, great for hemostats. And what I'll do is I will keep hemostats in my secure container, use those up. And then when they get to 1 of 3, I try to keep them because you can use those to craft in the hideout to craft Salewas. And early wipe, that is worth a ton. So keep that in mind. That's what you need to craft Salewas is hemostats, and you get a little bit more value out of this barter when you turn a 1 out of 3 into a Salewa. Speaking of Salewas, Paids, this is an old barter. It hasn't changed. It's a great barter, especially early wipe. You find these Paids in offices and stuff, various places. Great little barter to get yourself a Salewa and save yourself some money because these are going to be pretty expensive early wipe. And then lastly is the car first aid kit. Now you need duct tape for lots of stuff. But if you're really hurting for meds, this is much better than just the old cheese, the AI2, because 1, it'll stop a light bleed, and it has 220 hit points versus the 100 out of the AI2. so it gives you a little bit more utility. And it's just something to use with your duct tapes if you find them in raid and you've already got your hideout built. Now, moving over to Skier, he doesn't really have a whole lot. This Barter is okay. It's not that great. If you get out it with 2 horses, fine, but you can buy for 32K the same gun. It will save you a little bit of money. There's a couple things you can do with the Vepr. Like you can craft, once you get a level 1 workbench, you can craft these into AKs, AKMs, which is nice. But this right here is not something I'm super focused on. The Zuck 3 press armor is a pretty good Barter. So cats are kind of expensive early white, but if you get one out of raid in your secure container, obviously hard for alpha guys, can't do that, but folks with gammas can. And then a pawn hat, which you'll see them on scavs pretty regularly, that gets you a level 3 armor that is halfway decent. This is ultra light, high weight polyethylene, which is basically the same thing as a hex grid in material type. Again, level 3, this will be great early wipe. It'll stop most of those, PSTGZH rounds and anything less than that from the 9mm, as well as most shotgun ammos. But that's pretty much it on Skier. Peacekeeper, he has a lot of Barters in here, but the ones that I think are best to pay attention to are the MP5, which is for your A2607, the brown handled knives, the PP22 6R, which is for the black handled knives. I primarily focus on brown handle for this Barter here. It's pretty good to deal with. I pull knives out of raid constantly because I go in with an empty scabbard and just always pick up a knife, just a little way to generate a little extra cash. And then if you need a pistol, you got this option here. Also is M67 grenades, and this isn't just important because it gives you grenades with 2 Zibbos. Later, when you need to give grenades to Prapor, I believe you need to give them M67s. Instead of spending the 40 or 50,000, 60, 70, 80,000, whatever these things are selling for, just buy yourself 2 Zibbos, barter them, and there you go. You can turn those in for the task. But it also gives you something to use early, a way to get grenades early wipe. Moving to Mechanic, he's got a pretty good list here of barters. The big thing is the gunsmith tasks, right? So he has the B11 handguard, which you use for when you're using the AK-74U gunsmith task. Same thing with the plastic MP133, which is the same one you would use for the tactical shotgun. These kind of dual up, right? If you get your 2 elite pliers, this gives you everything you need for the gunsmith part 1 task, except you take off this foregrip and you have to put a different stock on here. It's the pistol stock, which you can buy that from level 1 Jaeger, or sometimes you'll find it off of shotgun scavs in raid. And speaking of the elites, actually, yeah, the elites, this Barter is in here now. Super handy to get these because you need 2 of them for this, along with the red-handled screwdriver. But now if you pick up 1 of each of the pliers, round pliers, nippers, and then just regular pliers, you can turn that into elite. You can do 2 of those, and then you can use that to get your MP133, and it's just a super handy little Barter to have. Plus, you need elite pliers for a couple of things in the hideout. These are going to be pretty expensive early wipe. They always are, because you need them for hideout, you need them for this task, and that is just another way to go about it. After this, you have the UMP. This is kind of a cool Barter in my opinion. Now, you're going to have a chance to loot a lot of computers and stuff. And as you do, and you pick up HD hard drives and DVD drives and capacitors, a lot of computers, you can pick up an ump. And you can't buy the mags for it, but this is a pretty powerful little gun early wipe, especially with you being able to buy 45 FMJ. This does a ton of damage. And against P.A.K.As and level 3 armors, it actually works pretty well. And you can get the mags with a Barter of a Marlboro cigarette and 2 crickets right out the gate. So it's another opportunity here for you to run a gun that's a little bit higher class than what most people are going to be seeing. Next up is the Ragman Barters, and in here you have this backpack Barter for these the fireman helmets, the Jettas. You turn that in, it gives you a Berkut. Usually I'm not going to use my 4 slots up for something like this, but if you're running low on backpacks and you've burned up your buy limit with Ragman of 3, and you want to get another good sized backpack, because the backpack really determines how successful your raids are, because how much loot you can get out with. It's an option. You can go run a scav real quick, get one of these, and then you got access to a Barter of a backpack. Next up is the P.A.K.A. So 3 of these masks, which you do have to be careful about because you do need these for Punisher later. You want to be saving them, but they also make a little great Barter, especially if you're burning through P.A.K.As. So you only get 4 per reset, right? And if you buy all 4 of those, you're kind of stuck without buying any more armor unless you want to go up to a level 3 armored rig. But if you keep in these masks, which there's plenty of them in raid, you just got to watch for them. 3 of them. You can do 3 of these with 3 masks per reset. So that gives you 7 packers in a single reset. Pretty hard to burn through those. You know, if you're burning through those that fast, you kind of need to change what you're doing because you're not doing something right. And then lastly is the 6B47 Barter. Now, you can't make bleach out of the level 1 lavatory, but you'll find it around Tarkov and raids and stuff like that. And this is a great level 3 helmet because it covers your ears and allows you to wear ear pro. So the infamous penis helmet, which is here for sale, does not cover your ears. It covers the top of your head and your nape, whereas the 6B47 covers your ears, which is a great advantage with shotgun scavs and stuff like that. I actually run this helmet most of the early wipe until I can actually get U-locks because I find ear protection is extraordinarily important in the game right now. And that's pretty much it for Ragman. Over at Jaeger, though, he doesn't have a lot of stuff here. And it's kind of sad because I feel like Jaeger is underserved with Barters, especially early wipe. But this right here is a gunsmith item. You know, don't be buying 30mm scope mounts for anything. You can barter pretty simply with a TP and a safe key, and you're done. And you'll find these all over the place in jackets and things like that. They turn up pretty frequently. You can also barter for fuel. Now, this is a really expensive barter, but if you're finding tons of matches and you don't have anything to do with them and you don't want to pay for fuel, which is going to be really expensive early wipe, until you get to level 2 Jaeger, this is about one of your best sources of it. I don't recommend buying all of these products because they're going to be expensive, but if you just see matches and you make sure you keep them, a couple of raids and you're going to have enough to do this barter and get fuel. And then lastly is the CMS. This one's a little bit of a steep barter, but early wipe, it's hard to get anything to fix black limbs. You know, most people just run around with pain pills, and if they get a black leg, you know, they're walking out or running out and healing the whole way. This gives you an early ability to get a CMS before you have the flea market and before you have anything else in the hideout you can craft, because you can craft Serv 12s eventually in the hideout and whatnot. This gives you access to that ability to fix black limbs for 3 nippers. So keep that in mind on Jaeger. Well, that's pretty much all of them. Wraps it up. I hope this is helpful. I hope you guys pay attention to barters. We'll see how this does. And if you guys like it a lot, I will do one for level 2 or, you know, barters for once you get the flea market open, or if we see something, they add something, things like that. We'll make sure to keep you guys all informed. But thanks for watching. We'll see you in Tarkov. Well, that wraps up the video. I appreciate you watching. Make sure you hit that like button because it helps out the channel a bunch. And subscribe for future content. We also have a Discord, links down in the description, that you can come join. We're filling up with a bunch of chill people who just love to play Tarkov. If you're looking to support the channel in other ways, we've launched a Patreon with some benefits like access to a Discord channel, constantly updated spreadsheet for my hideout calculations, and some other things if you want to go check it out over there. Lastly, thanks for your support on YouTube. It means the world to me, and I greatly appreciate every one of you. So with that, we'll wrap it up, and we'll see you in Tarkov.